Just a quick one. Can you remind me the figures you used to calculate for conversion and building cost per square meter? Welcome team to the weekly live Q&A, and I'm delivering this every Tuesday live on Facebook, and we're going to jump straight into the questions, of course, from our Premier Property community. And I know many of us trust each other, but if you're here for the first time, my name's Cam Devady. I'm the founder of Premier Property, investor developer, and every week I'm answering questions so that you can also move forward in your property journey. And we have a number of questions like what I say from our community. So I'm going to jump into a question here by Pam. Pam Clark is asking a question about recommended heating and hot water systems for 5-bedroom HMOs. Pam, the kind of systems that we've looked at, so we've looked at systems where we have a combi boiler system, and alongside the combi boiler system, what we've also got is something that we call the mega flow system that can replace that combi. However, a better way of doing it is to actually have your combi system, but also have alongside it something assisting the actual heating of the water. So for example, what we do is we'll put in a normal standard combi boiler, but what we'll also do is we'll put in electric showers even, where there's a less impact on how much that water is being heated by that combi boiler, if I'm making sense. Now, this seems to be a cost-effective solution for this, although there are lots of different belts and braces, bells and whistles types of strategies out there, what you can do with the heating, but it becomes very expensive. So this is my best approach to this. Combi boiler coupled with some electric showers, which mitigates the heat required and the use of the combi boiler. And the worst case scenario is that your life of your combi boiler becomes slightly shorter. However, it's much more cost effective to replace that boiler than actually have any other type of system. So that's our hack around it at Premier Property. Hope that helps you. Moving forward, we have another question here by Jesus, Jesus in English. Yeah, he's asking, Cam, happy Tuesday. When applying the Premier Property bar system to a property deal, so that's buying, adding value, and releasing the seed capital, always. How do lenders see this? If you're withdrawing that money, if you're refinancing, how does that play out? So let me go through the scenario. So let's say your property you purchased for £100,000. Let's say you've got a 75% mortgage with this, an interest-only mortgage. The other 25k is your deposit. And let's say your legals, your stamp duty, various costs like that are added to that 100,000. So now you're at 100. Maybe you want to write some of this down, right? So you've got your 100k purchase, including 25k of your deposit, 75 being the loan. You add another 12.5k to that. Let's call it for, let's say, upfront costs, legal, stamp duty, a little bit of refurb, etc. So that's another 12.5 added to that. You're now at 112.5. Now, if you are able to uplift that value by adding value with the right refurbishment, by actually buying that property really well in the first place, and strategically being able to add value in the key parts of the property, something we can go over another time. Feel free to ask a question about that if you wish for next time. You will find that you have bought well, you've added value, and you have taken that property to a value of, let's say, 150,000. Now, like-for-like properties in that area are selling for 150,000. So when the value comes in, the new valuation when you come to refinance is 150,000. If you're following me here. Now what you find is that you now refinance at the new price, which is 150. You might want to watch this again and write these numbers down. New value 150, you get a new mortgage on that, which is 75%, again, just like before with the purchase. But now, your new loan at that 75% becomes 112,500. The exact same money that you put in the first place with the old mortgage. So, with the new finance, the old loan gets paid back. You've now got a new loan And what you'll notice is every single penny and pound that you put into that property as capital expenditure has now come back to you. So you got no money in the deal, and that is how you can use the Premier Property Bar system. You buy well, you add value, and you release seed capital. So I hope this helps there for you, Jesus. One other question you've asked me is, how do the lenders, additional question, how do the lenders view you releasing that equity? Well, you're absolutely fine to let them know what you're doing, that you're investing in property as your balanced approach to creating your financial, your finances, your financial freedom, if you like. And you're absolutely fine to say that you're going to be using that deposit, you're going to be using that money to actually invest into income-producing assets like buy-to-lets. In my experience, lenders are absolutely fine with that. Let's move on to the next question. Next question is from Stal. Stal is, of course, another one of our Premier Property community. And Stal is asking, Cam, can you claim the stamp duty relief on a probate property if you're buying as an individual and not as a limited company? Well, Stal, the truth be told, you can't really claim it back on either of those two. There are very specific, there are some real specific stamp duty, land tax exclusions. But if I'm being honest with you, I'd rather just pay stamp duty. Because 99% of the time, the type of properties that you're buying where they're good deals, you're required to pay it. So we look at that as a cost of doing business, and we'll just pay it. Moving forward, we have Emma. Emma is asking, hi Cam, just a quick one. Can you remind me the figures you used to calculate for conversion and building costs per square meter? Okay, yes, sure, Emma. So here are the three key numbers. So the first number is £1,500, and the £1,500 is per square meter for simple conversions. Then we have the next number, £1,800 per square meter for complicated conversions. What's the difference? So if you've got load-bearing walls, or let's say it's a type of like an old NHS type of building, or an old people's home type of building, there's usually asbestos in there. So if you're removing asbestos, that's going to cost a bit of money. So we use that figure of 1,800 per square meter. The third level is new builds. For new builds, we at Premier use the number of £2,200 per square meter. Quick rules of thumb, they include architect's fees and various reports and all of that kind of stuff. And it's a very good way to actually do your due diligence really quickly, right at the beginning. And then once you've got the sale agreed, you can do the rest of it later on. You can work out even further detail. But you're fine. By using these numbers, you are within 10% of what it actually should be. And these are new numbers. Final question of the day is from Rimmel. Rimmel is asking, do lenders have a... Rimmel Patel, by the way, one of my partners there, one of my students as well. Really clued up gentleman. Right? Do lenders have an issue mortgaging or remortgaging flats that have a boiler in the bedroom? Other than a CO monitor and smoke alarm in the bedroom, are there any other requirements that are that they're looking for? Well, Rimmel, we buy a number of properties. Typically, these tend to be buy-to-lets, and in those properties, sometimes there are the boiler is actually in the bedroom. Now, sometimes we move them. I mean, ideally, when we're doing full refurbishments, we'll move them just because it's not really that nice to have a boiler in the bedroom. However, sometimes when we're doing refurbs, we don't need to move the boiler because it's quite expensive to do that. So what we'll do is we'll box it up and we'll leave it in the bedroom. In terms of the lenders, they're absolutely fine with that. As long as they have a carbon monoxide detector there, as long as you have a gas safety certificate, and as long as, like I say, you just made it nice and clean and you covered it up and so on. No one can touch the pipes, or children can't touch the pipes, or move the boiler, touching the dials on the boiler. Well, then you're absolutely fine. Lenders are absolutely okay with that. So I hope that answered your question there. It's Cam Dvedi helping you take your property investing to the next level. I'll see you same place, this time next week.